Good afternoon. Hi, the participants who have just joined in. Thanks a lot for taking time out and joining in the session today. We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes as little more people are joining in, and then we will start. Welcome, Alan, and welcome, Geetika.
Hello,
Hi,
good
welcome,
afternoon.
Geetika. Hi.
Good afternoon, Gitika.
So, Geetika will be just starting in a couple of minutes. We are just waiting for a few more people to join in, and then we'll start.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. I think we'll start now, and meanwhile, other people join in. So thanks a lot, Geetika. Thanks a lot, Alan, for joining in and taking time out on a weekend and give us that time. I'm sure that today's webinar will be very useful for you. So today's session will be recorded just for your reference. My name is Ankur Bhatia, and I'm a founder and chief coach for Pivot Health. Pivot Health is a company which is focused on providing personalized health programs for senior executives, CXOs, and entrepreneurs to help them regain their health, not only to prevent themselves for any disorders, but also to regain their health so that they can keep up with top performance at their work. My previous experience, this is my second healthcare company. Before that, I was a co-founder of a company called wellcure.com, which I started in 2019. And before that, I was in a corporate sector working with Australian High Commission and in financial services sector. So today I partnered with senior leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals to guide them to extend their cardiovascular health, metabolic health, so that they are mentally sharp and they can sustain peak performance through my signature program right now, which is called HeartSpan. Through my work, I have impacted more than 350,000 people across both the ventures. And as health coach, I have delivered 300 plus hours of individual sessions, group programs, and workshops, and coached more than 100 people across the globe. Over to you, Chetan.
Yeah, thanks, Ankur. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I'm Chetan Bhambri, founder and leadership strategist as UinLEAD. Having worked with organizations like Accenture, Tata Group, Wipro, Oracle, Society General, Siemens, I worked with several leaders during my tenure with these organizations. One thing which I found is the leaders who have the biggest impact are the one who lead on their own rules. They don't follow playbook, and that's what led me to founding the UinLEAD. Through UinLEAD, my purpose is to help leaders have their own unique style, right from setting the vision for their team, execution, and also making an impact. On the journey, I have coached 700 plus leaders, and I have conducted sessions and a workshop for 2000 plus hours. I specifically work with GCCs, Global Capability Centers, and startups and product company, helping the leadership there to change their vision into impact. Let's get started. So today journey would be, we would walk you through recognizing how overload quietly erodes clarity. So what the overload is. So in today's time when we have a lot of technology disruption coming up, especially in the way of Gen AI, we have geopolitical uncertainty, we have very diverse workforce. All of this is adding up as relentless demand for leaders. And this overload increased one by one, and it reached to a stage of burnout because leaders normalize it. Now, why do we normalize it? Because somewhere we have an idea that being a leader, I need to take all that pressure. I need to take all that stress. That's part of my job. We'll decode why this normalization happening and what we could do. By the end of this webinar, we will also give you a simple tool to assess stress in both mind and body. Now we'll bring 3 pictures one by one. All of these pictures will relate to some moment in your office life, of professional life. Each picture, think about it. Think about looking at each picture, think about your last week, last month, and relate what that mean for you. So I'm bringing the first picture, and you can put it in the chat. What does this picture make you relate to in your professional life? You can put in chat. Meetings, Anil. Yeah. What else? Yeah, Gitiga. Lot of technology, lot of tools, lot of automation. What else this picture reminds us of? Tinker, Alan, would you like to share? Yeah, Anil, connected always, all the time. Thank you. Let's move to next picture while we give some time to Alan and Dinker to think about it. So this is the next picture. What does this relate to for you all? Yeah, running behind time, running behind deadlines. Deadlines. Yeah, Ankur. Time for your meeting, Anil. Yeah. So I think, Anil, you've got affinity with meetings, Anil, it seems. So technology, meetings, deadlines seems relatable to all of us, right? Let's move to next one. Now, what does this picture relates to? It's about the workplace we have today. And what do we see here? What kind of workplace? Meetings? You can say it again, Anil. That's okay. Collaboration. Yes. That's very apt, Gitika. Team in collaboration and leader in stress. So interesting. Some of us see as a collaboration, some of us see as a meeting, and some of us could figure out some stress also here. And I think that's what the today's workplace is. We have all these tools, we've got all this technology, we've got all this diversity there, but there's something else also going on, which is building overload of decision making, which is building overload of technology, which is causing overload of relentless demand coming, which is also putting a lot of stress on us. And this overload quietly creeps in. We don't realize it happens one by one moment at a time. It keeps on adding, building upon it. So let's do a quick poll. So just keep in mind what we discussed about all of these 3D pictures: technology, time demands, meetings, and the collaboration and the stress. I'll bring a poll. What you all have to do, reflecting on each of these pictures, reflect back for last 1 week or 1 month, and when you are in these scenarios, so let's say too much technology or too much of demand or collaboration, which might also be causing stress, how does it show up in your body and mind? That is what the poll is. You will get 4 options. You can choose one or more of them. And please confirm you can see the poll. Ankur, is the poll visible? Okay.
Yes,
So
it's
we've got 4
visible.
options here. Yep, thanks, Ankur. So all these movements, a lot of technology, a lot of demands, a lot of collaboration, diverse workplace. How does that translate for you in your body and mind? We'll give 30 seconds for all of you to select your options. Okay, I think we've got all response. 4 of 4 participants have responded. So let me end poll. Or maybe I'll give another 10 seconds if any of you selecting any more options.
You can select more than one options also. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, ending in 1, 2, 3. And let me share the results now. Okay, so this is what we see from the small group we have today. For someone, it brings in the quick burst of energy also. So I don't know which one of it, whether the technology or the timeline or the diverse workplace. For many of us, it's using caffeine or some quick fix to keep going. Could be binge eating, could be binge watching, could be either of them. That's all what the quick fix is. Or I think we all agree to change in appetite, digestion, or stress-related physical symptoms. So what we see in this from this small group itself, that all of those movements, which seems very neutral, very relatable to the workplace, are causing different experience in our body and mind. We are saying that we feel change in appetite, very physical part of it, impacting the body. Quick burst of energy. So we do feel some positive emotions also, again related to mind more. And then again using caffeine or quick fix. So the same movement could mean different thing for us, and it could have different impact on the body and mind. That is what the topic is. That's what we are going to discuss here in next 50 minutes. Let me go ahead. Now, one thing, what we have discussed here so far, that various experiences of day-to-day workplace lead to different manifestation in our body and mind. We'll watch this quick video from Rock Cook. It's a TED video. What he is going to talk about the good stress and the bad stress, and does it affect all of us in the same way or not? Let's watch this video and let me know if the sound is not audible.
Stress. We all know what it is and we all handle it differently. Whether it's our thoughts speeding up or slowing down, eating our emotions or not at all, difficulty sleeping or just getting out of bed. Frankly, it sucks. But there's good stress too, like preparing for the biggest public speaking event you've ever given. On a global platform. No, even the good stress can mess with you, but it's the bad stress that I came to talk about, and probably not for the reason you'd expect. What if I told you that by some estimates, the cost of work-related stress in the US is close to $300 billion annually? Workplace stress, the stress causing this massive impact, is related to productivity and wellness. Today, that's what we're here to talk about. And by the way, it's linked to employee disengagement, chronic diseases that impact your work, and work-related injuries and illnesses. And when you add up the cost of all 5 factors, it's an estimated $2.2 trillion annually. That represents 12% of our GDP. Economic Forum and the Harvard School of Public Health estimate that from 2011 to 2030, major chronic diseases and mental illnesses will cost the global economy $47 trillion. And it's 2020. Now, I'm not saying stress causes all major chronic diseases or all mental illnesses, but even if a portion of it is, imagine how much lower that number could be. I think of some of the most successful and impactful people, I see a common trend: mastery of their mental game, which includes stress management. It's all about developing awareness, acknowledgement, and acceptance of your current thoughts, emotions, environment, and physical state. The best wellness corporate policies and initiatives backed by a forward-thinking government won't matter much without help from the most crucial pillar: you.
Yep. So the stresses are going to be there in environment. They're not going away. If only thing, they'll keep on increasing in the coming days and coming years. Now, there's a lot of initiatives going on in the workplace related to the well-being, the mental well-being, the collaboration, and all of that. How much of that is actually impacting, we are not going to discuss today. What we, each of us, can control, how do we manage ourselves? So a lot of control lies with us also. While burnout, which is a extended critical form of stress, relates to parts. One is the self, how do I deal with it, and second, the environment. And that's where the dual responsibility of leaders come. Leaders are not only responsible for managing their own stress, to not to get into burnout, they also have to create an environment for the team members so that they don't get into burnout. So it's very important for us to realize, are we building the overload of decision making on us? Are we building the overload of stresses which are happening, the change? Or are we working with a clarity where we can help ourselves also and the team also? So moving ahead, window of tolerance. We'll come here, but let's discuss on one of the points we earlier discussed in the agenda. Leaders normalize stress. Why do we normalize stress? We normalize stress because we think that, okay, if Ankur can work in high pressure movements, or if Anil is comfortable attending meetings throughout the day, Anil, sorry for picking you up, right? I should also be able to do it. What we don't realize, that window of tolerance for all of us, and window of tolerance is the zone in which I work in the optimum way, where I've got the clarity, I've got my presence, what we can call as the executive presence, is different for all of us. Is different for me, is different for Ankur, and for me also, my window of tolerance, when I can think with clarity and presence, could be different in different scenarios. So I could be more comfortable when I plan the things. Ankur could be more comfortable when he's working under the deadlines. It could mean different thing. So if I start comparing with Ankur, that, this is the way I've seen, or maybe I'm comparing with the leaders I work. I've seen leaders always work under pressure, so I should also be doing it. So then that's where we get into problem. So as long as we know what our window of tolerance is, and we are aware if we are getting out of it, we can manage our stresses and not let it get to burnout. Now, what happens when we get out of window of tolerance? One side is a freeze shutdown. Happens to all of us. There are moments when under the pressure, under the timelines, under the decision making, when we don't feel that decision making relates to our value, right? So let's say if we have to give a tough feedback to some team members, and I'm being forced to give that feedback, I don't understand what's the purpose of giving that feedback. I might get into a freeze shutdown. What happened in this mode? We are overwhelmed. We are emotionally numb. We are exhausted. We lack motivation. If I cannot attach purpose with what I'm going to do, I lack motivation. And we may even disconnect over the time. So that's one side of going out of window of tolerance. The other side of it is I get into what we call as the fight or flight mode, where I get angry. Let's say I'm getting timelines after timelines, or I'm getting into meetings after meetings without a purpose. I don't know why I'm going through that meetings and deadlines. I can get angry, irritable, chaotic, one or more of these. So the key for leaders is to understand what our window of tolerance is and see if I'm going out of them. And over time, expand that window of tolerance so that I can maintain clarity, I can maintain my alignment to the mission, the goals, and also create that environment for the team. Now, some of you might be thinking, how do we do it? So let's look at something what we call as the limbic system versus the prefrontal cortex. Now, it's not only about the mindset. It's not that I have a mental model because of which my window of tolerance is whatever it is. It has to do with the way our brain has been programmed for so many centuries or millennia of years. So not going into much of detail here, two parts of brain. One is the limbic system, which is more historical portion of brain, which is more emotional part of it. And it makes decision based on emotions. So this is the system which make us either go into the freeze zone or fight or flight zone. The other portion of brain is which give us the rational thinking is the prefrontal cortex. Now this is responsible for helping us taking rational decision. This helps us in making presence. This helps us in making more awareness. So if in a scenario we are using more of limbic system, we would be more reactive and not responsive. If we are using prefrontal cortex, we would be more responsive, we would be more rational, and we would be more reactive. Now, can we change how do we use when we are using limbic system or prefrontal cortex system? We can use, but before that, a question which you might be asking, why do we even need limbic system when it's not letting us think rationally, it's only thinking in a emotional way. So now limbic system is fast, and in many scenarios we need to act fast. We don't have too much time of thinking rationally. So again, limbic system coming from prehistoric time, living in wild, looking at a wild animal, the only thing we can do is fight, or most likely just run away from there. However, the scenario in today's world is very different. We don't have that kind of threat here. The threats have changed into a different form. It could be a overwhelming technology. It could be demand in the form of meetings, or it could be a very diverse workplace, which is bringing its own demand. Now, for that kind of threat, limbic system is not required. What we need to use is more of prefrontal cortex system. With the practice, we can become aware, are we using limbic system or are we using prefrontal cortex, and we can move towards prefrontal cortex system. How do we do it? So looking at some of the ways where we can become aware, am I acting using my limbic system or prefrontal system? The first one is to take a pause. Again, that step itself, start using more of a prefrontal cortex. Taking a pause, thinking about what the scenario is, what the context is, and then replying. So let me bring an example. If I've got a call from, or let's bring this proposal. Let's bring this scenario. I've submitted a proposal to one of my clients, and client was supposed to get back to me in 2 days. They haven't gotten back to me. The first thought which comes to me, maybe they don't want to work with me. That is the limbic system coming into picture. If I give a pause, I look at the whole context. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're taking more time. Maybe what I can do, I can check with them. That's when I start using the prefrontal cortex. But if I'm only using limbic system, forming an opinion, then I start a self-talk, which will get me into stress and burnout. So the first simple way is to take a pause, consider what could be happening, and then decide on action what we want to take. Second one, meditation, mindfulness, and in fact, this is helpful in building up the pause also. So there are multiple things we all could do in form of meditations, in form of yoga, in form of mindfulness practice, or maybe just listening to music in a day at some given point of time, or maybe journaling. There are multiple ways which can help us slow down, bring in clarity. Next one. Now this is very close to my heart. And this is where coaching also comes into picture. Bringing clarity with help of a coach who can help you look at the current scenario and and help you with coming up with an action plan and clarifying the purpose also. Now, when I say purpose, let's discuss a bit of purpose. Uh, Purpose plays a big role in changing from reaction to intention, which help us from moving from use of limbic system to prefrontal cortex system. If I have a purpose, I know for what reason I am using technology, that's very clear to me. Or if I know the meetings I'm going to attend today, what's the purpose out of them? Or if I know how could I make use of the diverse workforce we have today in the workplace, that help us be more intentional. So I'll be quoting few books here. So one is the book called The Upside of Stress by Kelly. It says stress linked to meaning is metabolized differently. It keeps us adaptive rather than reactive. So having a purpose is not only something in mindset, it has impact on the body also. It helps us take stresses in a different way. Second, coming from Viktor Frankl in the book called Man's Search for Meaning, purpose expands tolerance for challenge without collapse. So again, the window of tolerance. If we have a purpose, we can expand the window of tolerance for that particular situation. So I'll wrap it up, conclude my section with one takeaway for all of you for this section. Challenge without no pause is burnout. If we are continue to use the limbic system, we are just being reactive. We are getting towards the burnout. On the other side, if we are having challenge, but we do have the purpose clear, that leads to growth. With that, I pass Ankur to take us to the journey of how the stress manifest to the bodily symptoms and take into that journey. Ankur, over to you.
Thank you, Chetan. This is wonderful that that insight of having a windows of tolerance, how it makes the difference, and the key is how we can expand. And when we face a lot of burnout and stress, it is probably that window is getting contracted. So I today in my part, I'll share from how this aspect look from the body's perspective. We spoke about the three systems, the limbic, prefrontal cortex, and the brainstem. But interestingly, your stress response cycle starts with alarm. What is an alarm? Alarm means an activation of your stress response system. And that first reaction comes from the limbic system. There is nothing wrong in it because limbic system is supposed to protect you. The problem comes when this alarm starts and we are not able to shut it down. This it's like a tap. When we start the tap, the water starts to flow out, and if you don't turn off the tap, that's when the problem comes. So the stress response cycle is a natural protective mechanism which is activated when we see a perceived threat or an actual threat, and that's a first stage. Now once it is activated, the stress response cycle is supposed to get completed. But when it doesn't get completed, it moves to second stage, which is called coping. So what does coping means? We start to exhibit some coping behaviors. So those behaviors are like some of these things like addiction or caffeine or dumb scrolling. These are some of the ways where we are actually trying to cope up with the something which has already started and come into our system. And so I will give an example. So for example, you had you have an upcoming stress or high stake meeting. So at that time, it is natural that your alarm will get activated. And post that meeting is over, then also there is some action or there is some aspect of that meeting which you still carry along with you. So that means that the high alarm stage which got activated, it then needs to get, you start to exhibit some coping behavior with it. And and if that keeps on happening for a long period of time, that then moves to third stage, what we speak about exhaustion, that burnout, that stress response which was started, it is not getting completed, and that cycle is on for a long period of time. That's what we call as exhaustion. So from body's perspective, that activation has happened and that stress cycle is not getting completed, and that activation how is exhibited is in our body, that our heartbeat start to raise, our blood pressure starts to raise, our respiratory rate starts to increase. And when that is in alarm stage and coping stage, and when it continues day after day, week after week, then body moves to the stage where some of these responses leads to things like you having a constantly high blood pressure, you having a most of you, in fact all of you wrote that when it comes to burnout or that those symptoms, digestive system problems, exhaustion, these are some of the physiological system you start to face. That means that exhaustion stage has come. And even things like some the problems of blood sugar, obesity, they are activated, I would say, partly by this long-term stress as well. So this is how the stress response manifests in our body. Now, what body, as I said, it's a natural protective mechanism. So that natural protective mechanism has two parts. One is the alarm part, but it also has the cooling down part, or what we call as adaptive stress response. So as you can see in the graph, that when a alarm phase comes, the threat turns on the stress response. It peaks, that higher stage reaches. Then the recovery needs to come. So this is what we call as adaptive stress response. And the magic is that why stress is good for us also, that when what we call as super compensation and performance, what it means is that when a controlled stress is given, and this concept comes from sports, as you can see that says training recovery, training recovery. We are at a performance level, our training begins, training ends, and when the recovery happens, then your starting point becomes better. So now I'll share an example. uh, some of you any of you can mention in chat or unmute yourself and share, do you do any form of exercise like running or gym or any resistance training or any form of exercise you do? You can mention in the group or unmute, whichever way you feel convenient. So Gitika, you do yoga, that's great. Anyone else wants to share? No form of exercise, or you've done in past also, that's okay. Okay, so when it comes to exercise, whether it's yoga, when you start in yoga, a lot of movements are posture driven or flexible driven. And when you start at that time, you are not able to make those movements, or those flexibility is not there. But when you do it day after day and give that space to them, the body adapts and that flexibility improves. When it comes to something like strength training, you do some muscle work. Let's take you're doing on your biceps or chest. At that time that you feel tired or little exhausted after the exercise session, and then you rest for a couple of days, and then you go back. But your capacity to take weight increase. If you were earlier lifting weight of say 5 kg, after a few days you will find you're able to easily do 7.5 kg. and then progress after a few weeks to 10 kgs. Why that is happening? Because you're allowing that recovery to happen, and in that response, body is adapting, and your performance or your ability to have lift higher weight is increasing. So what is a how does poor recovery happens? You face a stressor, you have a poor recovery. Opposite happens, what we saw in the previous slide, where if you provide adequate recovery, the performance keep on increasing, that ability keeps on increasing. Opposite happens when you give poor recovery. So a stressor comes, you do not recover enough, your performance level, a base level starts to go down. And over a period of time, when this happens, as we shared in chronic stress level, that performance starts to go down. So key here I want to emphasize is that when it comes to body's resilience, it's not the stressor, it's the recovery where the real game lies. And in a stress response cycle, what we started with, that cycle only gets completed with recovery. And what do you understand by recovery? Can anyone please share your perspective that what is recovery for you? How do you define recovery when it comes to stress or burnout when you face? Do share some of the daily actions or some of the weekly or things which you do, which you count as that this is I am doing for recovery. You can type in the chat or unmute yourself. Any recovery, what do you understand by recovery? Is it sleep? What comes to your mind first? Walking in evening, then that's interesting. Pranayam in the morning, that is very good strategy you use or count it as recovery. Anyone else? Gitika, Anil, what is recovery for you? Some art and craft work, very good. Engaging something which you are passionate about or something which you are pursuing as a hobby. That's great. So as we saw that like Dinkar has some lying down on my back. So resting is what some are going through habits like engaging in a passion, like what Gitika is doing. And then there are certain physical action, like Anil shared, lying down on my back, walking. So what recovery we need to expand our definition is, consider it like your body as a jar which has a tap, which is your stress. A tap, which there are two taps. One is a tap which is taking water out of it, and that is stress. That tap is either it is turned fast or slow. That depends on many aspects, but that control on that stress, or that at least the external uh, stimuli which is leading to that stress, is less. Uh, Through mindset work, which we will cover in our workshop, you can definitely reduce the tap size, or I would say the flow of water from there. But you can't say you will not have stress. No one can be immune to stress. And as I shared, that stress is good, because if you have a good adaptive response, your performance actually increases. Now, the tap which refills, which replenishes this beaker, is recovery. And this includes, no one shared here about nutrition. You did share about some things like art, craft, which is a passion, time in nature, mindfulness. So this is where the key is there, that the definition of recovery is much more wider, which includes all the daily actions or regular actions we can take. Many of us have that wrong perception that recovery means that taking a sabbatical or a break. But then when you come back, then you are in the same situation. And then again, you reach back to the same burnout, and that you're never able to get out of that cycle. So daily recovery or daily actions is where the key is, and we need to work on that aspect. This is what I wanted to bring into your awareness, that recovery is not just for which is like which we do. It is actually helping you to raise your performance, and if you're able to work on that, that is something which will give you a better stress resilience. Thanks. So over to you, Chetan, for next section.
Yeah, thank you, Ankur. So I think what really come up that recovery, or what we can call as pause, or what we can call as a reset, is very important for us, and not in the form of 1 in 6 months. That's probably not a good idea of taking a reset or a recovery. Is it has to be a way of life. And before we go into further, to share, why we are coming up with this program, me and Ankur. So I had experience in my professional life a couple of years back when, because of the stress, I had to be taken to a hospital for a heart checkup, and then I realized that it's not more of a physical situation; it was more of a how I was dealing with the stress, and that's where my journey into the mindset, the meditation, the positive psychology, all that started. And then Ankur had some experience, and then we know, me and Ankur know each other for like 10, 15 years now. And Ankur being into health for 10 plus years, and I'm into coaching, leadership, positive psychology for a couple of years. When we were talking, we were discussing that, when we work with the clients, we feel sometimes both of it is required. It's just not about the body or man. And that's where this whole, the webinar and the workshop and what we are calling as the executive reset program came into picture. And we do understand a webinar or a workshop is not going to change the way of life we have. It takes time. And that's the whole purpose of coming up the whole program. And some of you might be thinking, I'm doing everything right for me. I'm in a good state. I have got a good balance between limbing and prefrontal. And we are happy with that. If you see someone around you who is dealing with the long-term stress, not able to take recovery, either physically or mind-wise, he could be or she could be one who could benefit from this program. So, just introduce them to this program to them so that it could help them. That's what our mission is. We want to bring more awareness in the professionals and the leaders that you just cannot continue working through your limbic system all the time, or you cannot normalize working out of your window of tolerance. You need a recovery window to be more, to have more executive presence. So again, thank you all of you for joining this webinar. The first takeaway for all of you is the stress and energy mirror. This will help you assess your current various parameters. It won't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. It will help you spot early signs of fatigue, disconnection. It will reflect on if the stress is building up in your body, and catch the hidden patterns. Again, if you think you are good, please feel free to share this with anyone whom you think could benefit from this. You're free to share this PDF. We would be sharing this PDF after the webinar to all of you. And this is just a glimpse of it, what it has. So this is based on the work from Dr. Christina Maslach. And she is considered to be pioneer when it comes to the workplace burnout. We have taken broadly from her work and came up with this reflection tool. Again, there'll not be some, you just go through each statement, tick one of these options. So let's say the first one, by the end of my workday, I feel emotionally drained or depleted. Do you feel it never, or do you feel it always, or somewhere in between? This will give you a reflection. This will have you take a pause for 10 minutes and say where you are when it comes to the stress and energy. So this is the first gift from me and Ankur for all of you for attending the webinar. What next? We are doing a full day in-person workshop in Bangalore on 20th September, Saturday. And the whole program, me and Ankur both come from the professional background, the corporate background. I having worked in GCCs with the startups for last almost 30 years, and Ankur has got his own experience working with corporates and institutions. So we are focusing this program for the founders and the senior leaders. And what does the program do? It take you all through a journey. So in that one day, we'll take a journey from reveal to reflect to rewire and reset. What does it mean? So reveal is all the participants get a 360 view of their burnout, where they are currently. How is it affecting mind, body, relation? Are too many decisions? So one of the key aspects of leadership is taking too many decisions in a day, right? And decisions could be comfortable, they could be uncomfortable for us. Some of decisions do not align with our values. So how are we dealing with it? That's one example. So that's the reveal. Reflect is we go even deeper. Look at the habits, look at the patterns, what's draining me, what kind of decisions are draining me, what kind of decisions are energizing me. We get into that depth. And then we help you start rewiring with the science-backed tools for the physical renewal, the emotional balance. How can I start working on the behaviors which will help me handle the stresses in a better way? As Ankur was also saying, the stresses are going to be there. They're not going away. So what we could do is how we could manage that better. And then come the reset. So, and it's not only going to be just Gyan. We are going to give our participants the practical ways, tools to take back with them, not only for them, for their teams also in form of a blueprint, which is personalized by each of the participants, developed during the workshop. And again, workshop would be just another beginning. It's not going to change the way we live or work. So the support from me and Ankur continue beyond workshop also in form of complimentary online sessions by me and Ankur. We would be sharing a handbook and journal which we have specially created for the participants, along with some tools and resources which can help you be more aware of your window of tolerance, of your recovery, and take action. Again, we know the leaders are busy with their day-to-day work. So what me and Ankur are there, we're curating all these tools and resources especially for the participant. So they don't have to go out and spend time in curating the resource and tool. We give it to all of the participants. And then also a health blueprint, which is personalized during the coaching session. Now, while the value of all of this beyond workshop is 60K, and while we have kept the price for the executive package, so we'll share the registration link for the workshop. There would be executive package. The price for that is 15, but if you register for it today, by end of day, we're offering it for 7,500. And before I share the link, Ankur, anything you would like to share?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So as Chetan shared, that both of us are coaches, and we work on individually. He works on with leaders and coaching them through their journey. I coach mostly leaders and senior executives and entrepreneurs for their health journey. And our experience both being on that side, being executives and entrepreneurs ourselves, what I find is that you have to work on both aspects. And only working on one aspect leads to ineffective, I would say. It's like being and not fulfilling your potential there. And we, to best of our knowledge, we don't think any of this exists together in one program and workshop. And we are bringing a lot of our experience of coaching people personally into this, and that's how we've curated this program. and how seamlessly we can work on body and mind. And on the side of physiology, there are many aspects you can recognize very early uh, without spending too much, or some simple things like what could be your resting heart rate variability. How could those blood biomarkers can actually indicate it is happening due to stress building up in our body. So having that aspects and recognizing those patterns, and then getting you a solution framework, something which we call as a personalized blueprint, which is both from the mindset what we need to work, and then what need to work from the body and the mind perspective. So that's what we have tried to bring, that our best in that 1 hour workshop, that you get that entire spectrum. And we feel that this is an important investment for our lives, and we are able to make and we call this workshop more as an inflection point, that after this, how your journey would be should be very different, because then you are equipped with those tools to deal with stress and things which we are facing in our lives, professionally, at work, or personally. So I would request people who are there right now, they can ask any question they have related to the content we have covered, want to share any experience, or want to know more about the workshop. We are, both of us are here and would like to answer them, each of you, in depth, so that you are able to make a right decision for yourself.
I'll stop sharing.
Sure.
And Uncle, I think what will also offer, if they think someone else could benefit, they are free to share this link in the code with them today, right? That's
Yeah.
okay with us.
Yes. So, Geetika, you want to share anything, or you ask, I think, Alan, Dinkar, or Anil?
It's a great session, Ankur and Chetan, and it gives a trigger for us to reflect back on our own stress, triggers, and how we respond to it. So, uh, definitely some key takeaways for me. So, thank you so much for this wonderful session. And in case I have questions, I would definitely connect back with Chetan or you.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Geetika. So I think that's very important to realize that this is a time when we are all in age of AI. I would say we are all now living, that we're trying to upskill ourselves on what is the latest technology or latest one in AI, generative AI. Those tools are there, but I think where probably I feel when we interact with our clients, that this aspect is something which is missing, and that's a gap which we are trying to plug in through our efforts. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your feedback, Gitika.
Yeah. Thank you, Gitika.
Dinakar or Anil, you want to share anything?
Well, what I feel is that, somewhere, some along the line, while we progress in our career, we have seen that stress has affected in multiple ways,
Yes.
and we do realize maybe we have tried many things and are trying many things, try to, get the impact to the lowest.
Yeah.
So definitely, like, a point to ponder, and definitely something that we have to work, to fix, because it's definitely having a long-term impact. Like Chetan did say that he personally went through something. I really didn't know about this, Chetan, but yeah, really sorry about that. But then I think what you are doing about it is, taking it head on. So great. So yeah, I guess everybody will have to think about it and then do something about it.
Yes.
So it's a great thing that you have initiated from your side. Definitely something to contemplate, and then definitely I'll also have to take some time out and then think and do something about it at some point of time. Really. Well, thanks to bring
Yeah.
this thought to my mind, because I think just trying to keep doing what we are doing, like Ankur suggested that, what, this just brings our performance down, and we really don't want that.
Yeah. And very interesting, Anil, because it's not only bring our performance down, but as we rise up in ranks and as we gain experience, as you would appreciate, that the level of stresses keep on mounting and increasing. And with that, if our performance is going down, that gap is even bigger. So that is the a worrisome, aspect that the level of responsibilities, if and as we either we are rising in the ladder or we take up something independently as a professional or an entrepreneur, those things keep on increasing and performance keeps on going down. So that is a gap which we need to plug in, and that's the effort we're trying to do. Thanks a lot for your feedback. Thank you, Anil.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Anil.
Yeah. Dinakar, you want to share anything or we'll be keen to hear from you as well.
Yeah, one thing I just wanted to also
Sure.
add is watching some old stupid 80s movies actually gives a good stress buster for me.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Chakravarti movies or even some other movies. So all those corny movies actually gives me the kick enough to come out of any stress that I may be going through.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
share my idea.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. And so, Anil, I think important point is that we all have our own strategies. Kitika shared that she loves painting and art. Some of you shared walking, pranayama. Dinakar shared about that. So we all have our own strategies. But what we are trying to say is that it's more, I would say, more than strategy. It's like a tactic. This is a tactic which definitely works for you for that moment and the short term, but in a long term, are you moving in a direction where you can be better and better? That is where we feel that what we are trying to bring in, uh, uh, tactics is wonderful thing to do, and everyone will have their own, but how you can have more organized system to be able to deal with it, that's where we want to work in. So thanks a lot for your perspective. Yeah, Dinaga, you want to just try once again? If it works, that'll be fine. Or Alan, otherwise we will wrap up. We'll wait for you to just make it a try once again.
Maybe in the meantime, one
Sure.
quick thing. Chetan, you shared references of some books.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to maybe put it in the chat box or maybe over an email? Is it possible?
Yeah. We'll share, Kitika. Thanks for that.
Yeah, we'll
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 add
add
in the
those
email.
links. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Sure.
thank you.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, Dinaka, you are audible.
Yeah, Dinakar.
Yeah, just a quick reflection. I think stress and burnout is something which is affecting all of us in the corporate world. So of course we need to, each one of us has to look into it more close, have should take a more closer look at it. I think we keep ignoring it for a long time, and at some point of time it will hit you, and then when you start actually looking into maybe more seriously, but is that is something I think all of us should avoid. We should
Yeah.
consciously look into it from the beginning itself, so that we don't get into a situation where we're in a critical situation and we have to take some action on these aspects. I think
Yes.
this webinar is definitely something which gave some insights into those aspects, how we can look into that, and then again maybe take some actions that will help us to manage our stress and burnout better and be more productive. And that is how I felt. Definitely one worth spending 1 hour on this particular topic.
Thank you. Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Dinakar. I
Dinakar.
think that's wonderful feedback, and this gives us a lot of validation to what we thought, think, and we also experienced at some point in our life that how much this is important. And I think the very critical thing is that we and since we coach people, and that comes from that, we realize that what we can the coach or the externally things can see, that action is very very critical. So yes, there is a lot of information available on static information net videos, podcast, But having a professional help or professional, I would say, a community which we have started to build, me and Chetan, on this is important, because that sharing which you did, or which Anil and Gitika did, you learn through others' experience and perspective as well. And that's what we are trying to do through our efforts, and through workshop also. That workshop is a collaborative effort where we are sharing a perspective, but those enriching experiences, stories which others will share, that's where I would say that's another big takeaway which we look forward. So thanks a lot for your feedback, and we look forward. And yeah, I think Chetan, we can wrap up. You want to just
Yeah, I just
quickly share?
want to thank Gitika, Anil, Dinakar, and Nalin for joining. I think with you all being very candid and honest, I think this is bringing awareness that burnout is not a stigma. We all are going through at some point of career or others. So let's normalize the burnout, that it happens to all of us, but not normalize the stress we continue to take without a recovery. So I think with that point we can leave, and we would share with you details in the email along with the book list. Thank you again for all joining.
Thank you. Thank you so
Chetan. Thank
much.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.